Hi everyone, it's Julianne here and welcome back to my channel. Today I have this super cute Miss You Slimline card to share with you all today that features the Avery Elle Sending Hugs stamp and die set, as well as the I Really Miss You Die-namics for My Favorite Things. Now in order to start out my card today, I am going to be stamping the envelope as well as 3 of those cute little critters that are all included in the Sending Hugs stamp set, and that includes the elephant, the fox, as well as the lamb. Now there is an additional critter in this set, and that's the koala, and he is super cute as well, but I'm going to have to save him for another card later on. So I'm going to be stamping each one of those images that I mentioned earlier onto a sheet of expressive blending cardstock using some Memento Tuxedo black ink, so that way I can do some Copic coloring. Now once I get those first couple of images all stamped out, I'm going to flip my cardstock around inside of my MISTI, and I'm going to be stamping the envelope again, but this time I'm just going to be stamping the flowers that are coming out from the top of the envelope because I knew I wanted to have some extra flowers on my card. So once I have all of my images stamped out and ready to go, I'm now going to start working on my coloring. So like I mentioned in my New Year's card that I posted a couple days ago, the color of the year for 2021, well, there's actually 2 colors, and those are yellow and gray. And I really wanted to continue that yellow theme that I used for my New Year's card onto my card today. So I'm going to be planning to using the yellow and my sentiment. So for my coloring, I'm going to be choosing colors that I know will work well with yellow. So for my coloring, since there is quite a lot, I have sped this up for my video, and I am going to be jumping around, but I will make sure to have all of my marker caps off to the side of the screen so that you're able to follow along with all of my colors that I'm using today. With all of my coloring done, I used the coordinating dies in order to cut out each one of my images, and I also used the I Really Miss You dynamic set, and I ran that die through my die cutting machine using some yellow as well as some white cardstock, so that way I could adhere those layers together in order to give my sentiment some dimension. Now here I've used the coordinating die for the envelope, not only to cut out my image, but also to cut out some additional white cardstock that I am going to be adhering to the back of my image, and I'm going to be adhering that using some liquid adhesive. Now it was at this point, once I had adhered those 2 pieces together, that I remembered that I forgot to create a space in order to tuck my elephant inside of the envelope to make it look as though he's popping out of the envelope. So I'm going to pull those 2 pieces apart before that adhesive dries, and I'm going to use my craft knife in order to create a little pocket by cutting along that black line that you see here. And I'm just going to make that pocket just large enough in order to fit that elephant inside of my envelope again to make it look as though he's popping out of the center of the envelope. Now here I'm going to start working on adhering down each one of my die cut letters to form my sentiment, and I'm going to be using the negative die cut piece of cardstock here, and I'm just going to position that cardstock on top of my background panel in order to adhere each one of those letters. Now my background panel is a slimline background that I have trimmed down to 3.5 by 8.5, and I did that using a piece of black colored cardstock. But I think if you wanted to recreate this card, doing an ink blended background, maybe by using some black soot and adding some splatter on that background as well, would look really great, and I think it would add some really nice texture to the background as well. But anyways, I'm going to get back to the card, and I'm just going to continue to adhere each one of those letters down using that negative die cut, so that way I can make sure that my sentiment is straight. And like I mentioned earlier, I did layer each one of those letters using 2 things of white cardstock and 1 of yellow cardstock, so that way my sentiment is going to be raised up off my background. Now once I have that top part of my sentiment all adhered, I'm just going to bring out my T ruler, and I'm going to be adhering my envelope image next, and I'm going to be temporarily adhering my background panel down to my work surface just so it doesn't move around on me. And then I'll position my image onto my background panel where just a few of those flowers as well as those leaves are kind of sitting on top of that Miss You die cut that you see here. And then I'm just going to be adhering that envelope down using some more of that liquid adhesive. Now off camera, I did adhere my background panel down to my slimline card base, and I trimmed that down out of some white cardstock to 7.5 by 8 3/4, and then I scored that down the center at 3 3/4, so that way I could have a really nice white border around my background. And here I'm just going to adhere those 2 little critters, the fox and the lamb, down to the bottom of my card using some foam adhesive squares. Once I have those all adhered, I'll then finish off my sentiment by adhering the last 2 letters, the Y and the U, down to my card as well. And then the 2 critters are going to act as my O, so that way my sentiment will officially read, I really miss you. Now I'm then going to take a pair of scissors, and I'm just going to flip over my background, and I'm just going to trim off that little bit of the lamb's body that's hanging off the bottom of the card. And then I'll just remove that little bit of washi tape that was adhering the fox and the lamb together. And once I do that, I'm just going to be finishing off my card for today by just scattering a few clear sequins throughout my background. And once I have each one of those adhered, that's going to complete my Miss You Slimline card using some goodies from Avery Elle as well as my favorite things. I really love how this card came out, but I think if I made it again, I would definitely do an ink blended background. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Would you prefer the black cardstock, or do you think I should have done some more ink blending? If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up down below, as well as subscribe for even more card making ideas. If you're interested in any of the supplies I used today, I will have those all listed and linked down below in the description box. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time, and happy crafting!